Beth has been complaining that my feet are smelly because when I go in the shower or in the bath, I need to have little ugly legs on so that my scars don't get wet, right? Yeah. So right now, I've got a little foot bucket to clean my feet. Are you happy?
What mug has to clean them?
Are you
this
happy?
One.
I did clean. Oh, look at your face right now.
No.
How many times have I cleaned yours?
Didn't get stinky as yours.
Believe me, yours were like blue cheese.
Get up now.
Here we go.
Yours smell like they're dead.
Ow. It's very hot. Did you put any cold water in there?
Yes.
No, that's really tickly.
I've got to do between, that's where the smell. You're such a part-timer. Probably means I'm more advanced than her at the moment, but then she overtakes me very quickly. Yeah. Well, she gets to go to a World Cup, so I know.
Finish on 3-2.
Yeah, look, it's devastating to deliver that kind of news to a player, but in the period leading up to a World Cup, I mean, yes, it's hard enough to say they're not going to play for the club. A World Cup comes every 4 years. It's difficult, and as a medical team, although you have a professional job to do, you do feel for the player because it feels so devastating to them.
A big thing within our rehab was missing out on the World Cup, which, again, for a non-athlete or non-footballer, like, you probably never really understand the feeling of being here while the World Cup is actually being played on the other side of the world. It's been tough, like, it's been really tough to see your teammates play.
It was always going to be a tough timeline for me to get back to a World Cup. Subconsciously, I'd always accepted that. I had such a sense of pride watching the girls and really wanted them to win, but also bittersweet in the sense that if they'd have won, I knew I'd have felt a little bit sad about it because I missed out on being able to do that with them.
I didn't mind watching the other games that much, but I did really mind watching, us play, the Netherlands play, and that was the same for Beth, obviously, with England. And we've been very, almost like happy in that sense that we fully understood that and we knew how we felt, and we didn't have to carry that weight all by ourselves, which has been really nice, to be fair.
Okay, welcome everybody. Beth and Viv, as promised, we've got a first step today of getting some of the leading researchers and experts into ACL injuries.
I'm Anthony Hackney, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm a professor of exercise physiology and nutrition.
My name is Andreas Iversson from Sweden, professor in psychology.
I'm Kirsty Elliott-Sale. I'm a professor of female endocrinology and exercise physiology at the Institute of Sport at Man Met Uni.
My name's Al McCall. I'm head of research and development for Arsenal Football Club.
Kat Alcon-Krieger. I'm an associate professor in sports rehabilitation and medical research at FIFA.
Is there any questions or thoughts that you want to speak to them about?
I think for us, psychological, I think we think it was a big part of ours. I mean, for me, I had found out that my mum wasn't doing very well. I actually left an international camp early at that point, and then I think I left midweek, maybe like a Tuesday, Wednesday. We then played on the Saturday. I'd just been at home, so I'd had to deal with a lot. I obviously did mine in the 93rd minute, and it was contact, but you were kind of similar. You found out bad information about my mum the night before the game, so you were struggling psychologically. So we feel like that could have had a big impact on our injury.
If you look at the research done, I think the single risk factor from a psychological point of view is stress or history of stressors. Can you share a bit more? Perhaps you talked about mentally fatigued or so.
Yeah, I got 2 weeks off from the club in November. Then when I came back to the club, I actually felt really fresh. Like, I felt good. I enjoyed playing football again. So I was kind of on that role of like, okay, like 2 more games till Christmas because I have been feeling really good. Then obviously the day before we found out about Beth's mom. So like, I think that night was really emotional, especially because she had just gone through surgery and everything coming together. Like, I was really tired. But I did speak with Jonas and Leanne at that moment before the game. I obviously told them the news about Beth's mom. And I was like, I have not slept well. I am feeling tired, and maybe let's just see how I feel in the warm-up. And they were really supportive about that. They were like, just let us know what you need and what you want. In the warm-up, I felt great. Everything I touched went top bins, which never really happens. It was just like a decision and a step that I made off an emotional, emotional based. I would never make that decision really, but probably because I was tired and everything came together, I made that decision. The only moment that I got upset all the way up to actually having surgery was when I laid on the pitch. And I didn't think about my knee, I didn't really think about anything else. I just thought, oh God, I can't bring Beth home for Christmas. Because obviously like she went through quite a bit at that time. We wanted to be home for Beth.
Context-wise, my mum obviously was dying of cancer. So I knew we didn't have that long with her at that point. So obviously I couldn't drive. Just had operations, so obviously that was Fib's first thought instead of actually about a knee, which was...
That was my thought, yeah. And then obviously coming back after the game, like, I mean, me and Beth were sitting there, considering she was on crutches, just had surgery, and I was just sitting there, and all the girls came past, and everyone started crying for us, and we were just like, this has actually really happened.
We work so hard to monitor, to check your well-being, your mental health, but when there's so many variables, and again, you sort of both hinted at it, you were both happy to play, as I know, because we were involved in asking you. But that's a very subjective way of looking at it.
I would think when you are in difficult, challenging situations in life, what do you want to do? What you love, go play football.
It's your way of escaping things, I think, isn't it? It's like, for me, obviously, after losing my mum, all I wanted to do was kick a ball, which I've had taken away from me, obviously, at the moment, but it's what our job, it's what we love doing, and it's like,
I would speculate that, you know, all these risk factors or components that perhaps lead or contribute to your injuries, I don't think they're in set proportions. I think, you know, there are all of these predeterminants, and some days one is higher than the other, and then another day it moves again. It's when they come together in that moment, in the 93rd minute, it's that perfect storm.
There's not one or two factors, it's multifactorial.
You'd love to just plug us into a machine, wouldn't you? And just
But I love what she said about proportionality. It's multifactorial, and depending on you as an individual, one of those factors on a given day could be very much putting you at risk, but the next day it could be another factor in that facet that could be putting you at greater risk.
I've been involved in men's football a long, long time. In the men's game, we get the boys from the age of 9, and they do a lot of strength and conditioning, technique training and loading. Whereas in women's football, I'm finding that we often don't get you guys to year 18. You'll have limited access to S&C before that. And I believe that could be a component of why we're getting so many.
Gary, you're absolutely right. You know, there's a discrepancy between men and women and how they're catered for. You know, young boys learn to move like athletes, and young girls learn to move like good footballers, but not necessarily athletes. And there's a big change that needs to happen there to make sure that the future generations are on equal terms between the men and the women. Men have football boots that are designed for men. Women don't. Women play in men's football boots, or even worse, in children's football boots if they can't fit an adult size. The outsole, so the studs and the interaction with the surface, you know, you have different types, but that is for the needs of a man. And women are lighter, they have smaller feet, they play often on different surfaces, so men play on hybrids and women play on natural grass most of the time. And those pitches are probably not the best condition always either. So definitely we need that football boot to be designed for women and their needs to minimize the risk of injury.
We try our best to monitor and get a feeling in wellness of how the girls are. But it changes from moment to moment. How do you make decisions for the good of the team, but also individualise your decision-making to protect these guys as individuals? that's in elite sport, that's the hardest thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree, and I think the only way to come closer to it is to talk to people.
If I look at Arsenal right now, like our medical team has been there quite a while, so I feel like the girls that have been around longer are starting to feel really comfortable and actually saying how they feel. But it is really difficult because 9 out of 10 times, if I wouldn't be physically or mentally ready, I would actually pull myself out of things. But then that very last time that you're not doing it, that's when you get injured. Yeah, I do think it's a lot about communication and creating that open environment. But still, it's up to the player and the individual to actually say how they feel.
There's a big thing in like science medicine world where they're saying, no, we shouldn't ask players this because they lie, they don't tell the truth. But like my experience, I'm pretty sure your experience is completely different. Once a player trusts you, they'll tell you, do anything for you, tell you anything. Us as practitioners have a big power to invoke either negative or positive emotions in you. And if we invoke the negative emotions, you then close and be defensive, and you're more inclined to not tell the truth.
Like, it probably would be helpful if we would get informed on periods, on like psychology, like on all these things, because then we've got the information from a reliable source. If you're really lucky and you're really good, you probably start playing professional football now when you're about 18, 19, 20 maybe. So even later than what we were.
Yeah.
But we're only going to get that baseline for girls the moment that all clubs start having youth academies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like, you'd like to think that we're all developing and we are going to get there, but it's just not there yet. I think the biggest change within women's football right now is that instead of playing 25 games a season, we've gone to playing 50 games a season. How can we help prevent having that many ACL injuries?
There's no easy solution, unfortunately. Otherwise, I think we would be very rich if we had that solution. But it's taking all of those factors into consideration and trying to optimize them, and you have a really good support staff set up to sort of help you with that. And of course, you know, as we've talked about, you know, learning and like educating yourselves as well, so you can help in that process, I think are the best bits of advice I can give you.
We're in a time where we can actually do something really good quality and really meaningful. If we get everyone together and do it properly, we can do something pretty good. That's my hope.
Okay, well, not sure you can hear this because I'll probably need to shout. We have just been in London for the last 3 days.
Yeah.
We both went to see the surgeon. Beth's first time after 6 weeks.
Yeah.
What did he say?
I got 10 out of 10 from him.
And I didn't get a 10 out of 10, but he didn't really give me a number, so he said that I was still very good.
You're doing good.
And
You're early
I'm
stages.
doing good. Keep you up to date. How do I stop this again?
Yeah,